it's my birthday. Hello and happy birthday to me. Welcome to Drinks and Discussions, the RPG podcast, where we a bunch of people sit around and talk about anything RPG. That's sweet. I'm joined today by my ever-present co-host. Ever-present? Is that like been here since the beginning? Co-host. Adis. You'll know him as the voice and character portrayal of Adarag from King's Crossing. I also have Mr. Pickles. He is the voice and portrayal of Grunkle from King's Crossing. He's also a storyteller for the hit show Strange Town Golden Ridge, which just had their adventure finale as of yesterday. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do an epilogue of sorts, I guess.
Right, but I think the main...
Yeah,
like,
you guys...
we'll just have DLC content afterwards.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, today's my birthday.
Really
Woo! Happy birthday to me.
Birthday!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Raph. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah. And just a couple more, cause I'm old.
You.
You. So I bought myself a milkshake for my birthday. That's my present. However, I didn't get any notifications on my phone, but I sat down on my computer and I got some gifts. So huge shout out to Mr. Pickles for giving me some games. Actually, I think it was from my friend Raft. Or no, I was named Raft. I think.
I cannot account for who I am when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, okay. I think my name was Raft on there. I was like,
but that actually is partially a gift for Tiger as well, because I know he's gonna get a kick out of you playing Wildermyth. Maybe
I've had a couple people recommending I play that game. So
single player, so I won't be there. You'll just be enjoying an RPG. It'll be
finally. I've gotten 2 birthday presents then. One from Pickles, thank you. The other one, and this is announcing for the first time here on Drinks and Discussions. I already told Adis, but he already knew. Nimwort is returning to King's Crossing. We are not losing Nimwort. Tough Nuts will be returning to King's Crossing. We're gonna have the full crew.
What changed?
I don't know. He said that he saw the message that it was coming back in January, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be there."
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm super happy about that. It's funny is as I've been working on the campaign coming back, I've had some really cool ideas for his character, his power, stuff coming up with his stuff and his storyline. And I was just like, man, I'm gonna have to put this all on the back burner just in case he comes back. And now I don't. It's all gonna come in, and I'm super happy. Other household items before we get to it. My audio is probably still terrible. I'm in a giant room that is completely unfurnished, and the audio echoes everywhere. So I apologize for that. I know it's not good quality. I'm working on it. All right, I'm working on it. As of actually after this stream, my desk is going to be getting turned this way. There's a wall right here, and I'm going to be putting up some soundproofing there. So that should help. And then I'm furnishing this room out and putting in like carpet, not carpet, but what do you call that? A rug? Yeah, I'm putting in rugs and stuff to kind of help with some of these sound echoes. So it'll get better. Just bear with me. But I bought a house, and I'm in a house. So that's huge news. No longer in an apartment. I have 3/4 of an acre in Indiana, and I'm in a house. Woo! I need curtains.
Yeah. But I'm watching for killers behind you. Don't worry.
I appreciate it, yeah, because that's the front. That's the driveway right there, and that's my front yard. So just everyone just sees into my bedroom.
You're gonna get doxxed.
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna be people outside. Is that Rat Daddy?
I'll warn you of them though.
Yeah, but Pickles will let me know, so I appreciate it.
Take a screenshot.
Yeah.
Geolocator.
Yep. Just triangulate my. Whatever, I know how that works. So with that, welcome to Drinks and Discussions. Before we jump into it, I wasn't able to get myself any alcohol Except I do have to run after stream. I have to go out, so maybe I'll try and snag something for myself and get myself a little birthday shot. But I believe someone else was able to get their hands on some alcohol. Let's hear from Whiskey Sips with a D's.
Oh, howdy there. We got ourselves a little whiskey tonight. We got ourselves an Ardbeg. This is an Ardbeg Weagdall.
I don't know that one.
It's
Ardbeg Weag. You say that Weagdall?
Those
Weagdall.
aren't words.
Yeah.
Those aren't words.
Well, they're Scottish. You got to give them a break. But
That
it's
sounded
an
a lot more
Islay.
Irish.
Yeah, that was a lot more Irish.
Yeah, I know Irish accents.
I need a lot more slurring.
The only accent.
It's hard to get.
Yeah. There you go. We love you, Scotland.
Truly,
don't cancel us.
I love what you make. I love your product. Keep it coming.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, don't ever change. We love you. So Ardbeg is a Islay single malt Scotch. So that means that it is of the Islay style and originally like from the Islay region of Scotland. And that indicates that it most typically when you hear Islay, you're going to think about very heavily peated whiskey, which gives it that nice smoky flavor that everybody like usually associates when you say Scotch. Well, this is like the max level of that where you like it's take you out behind the woodshed sort of thing. But
Pickle's face.
But this one specifically, I like the Ardbegs because they also have a bit of a meaty flavor to them. So it's almost like you're drinking barbecue. So it's fantastic. I like it. It does take a little bit of getting used to like get past that smoky, that heavy smoky flavor at the start of it. But once you make it past that and you start to like actually like taste like what's in the whiskey, some of your Isleys are going to have more of a meaty flavor like the Ardbegs, and then some of them like Talisker Storm is going to have more of like a salty kind of oceany sort of taste to it. Brininess is what people usually describe it as. But this one is the Ardbeg Weagdall. It's a limited release, so but it's a good one.
Pickles, did you have questions?
I have too many questions to know what the proper ones are to ask.
So it's got a nice it's a very light color too. So like compared to like the Glendronachs, which have a really dark color, these ones have a much Isleys usually have typically a lighter color to them. And that's just comes from
I still have my Glendronach, but it's at the apartment.
So and it's meaty?
Meaty, yes. Like
beef?
Taste,
beef.
More like pork, but yeah.
Pork.
Ooh, like a smoked pork? God, that sounds
good. Yeah,
it tastes you said like it was like drinking barbecue.
Yeah.
And I
would love to do whiskey tastings with Pickles. I just think that would be
a lot of fun.
A lot of content.
The first thing you pour it out for me, you give the explanation, I just go
There was Jeremy did that?
Yeah, Jeremy did that.
we were at a whiskey tasting for a bachelor party. Everybody poured all their drinks, and we're all sitting there, sip, sniff, doing the thing. We're all kind of learning how to properly, do a whiskey tasting. Jeremy goes, next. I don't think that's how you do it.
He was still in the Air Force at the time. He was, Chair Force,
Yeah, he needed it.
Yeah.
So there's Whiskey Sips with the D's. Huge shout out to you. Thank you. Let's talk RPGs. We're already halfway through the episode, so I don't think it's really fair to ask you to do your game because you would only get 20 minutes of game time, Sure. So why don't we save that for next week?
Sounds good.
We all prepare to come into next week for his game.
I'll keep it prepped.
So for today's episode, what do you got for us, Pickles?
Okay. So,
Oh, that would be interesting. Like every week, someone else has to bring a new topic.
Ooh, That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and it should be well researched and everything.
I feel like you're gonna make me so
How do you guys
mad.
feel about splitting the party?
Ooh, good
That's a
topic.
good one.
Okay,
That's a good one.
Splitting a party. So we're talking specific. I'm guessing TTRPG, right?
Yes.
And
Cooperative tabletop RPG game together in
Yeah.
any genre or setting that you want to pick for your argument. And I just mean like splitting up to handle different tasks at the same time, like whether that be a dungeon crawler where you're clearing out different rooms, or a mystery detective game where you're like going on interviewing some people here and investigating over here.
I would almost split this into two categories: DM driven splitting the party and party driven splitting the party. Because I think both would have pros and cons in different versions. Do you want to go? Does anyone else want to go first, or do you just want me to start ranting?
Yeah, I want to hear more about why you make that choice, even though I agree with you.
Yeah, because as both a DM and a player, for many years, I've seen it done multiple ways, in both categories, and I've seen it where as a DM, I think it can be done well, and like orchestrated, organized. You kind of know, okay, you're handling this, you're handling this. I've got it planned and prepped and balanced and ready to go. So where there's content on both sides. But I've also seen it from the party just makes it happen, and it's like, I don't have the adventure was to go here this episode and here next episode. I don't have here ready. And so then the group that goes there, it's like they're not getting a whole lot. You can kind of tell, and it's weak. But I've also seen it where the party splits and it's not on good terms. And I'm tired of you, so I'm going to go do this instead. And that is really weak, because then you get stuff where, okay, both both parties are getting information, but they're not working together. So then it's, oh, I'm not sharing this information. It's like, no, the whole point was you guys were supposed to split so you could tackle, two things at once and be stronger for it. Not, okay, we split, we tackled these two things, and now we're just continuing on down this road, not coming back together with the information that we had. So this is kind of general overview. I'm not really diving in to the meat and potatoes, I suppose, but I would say it is a great tactic to use sparingly in the right circumstances. I think if the moons align, it can be amazing. But otherwise, it can be very detrimental. Last example. Pickles has horror games that he runs. Very paranormal or scary or dooming. And
dooming.
Splitting the party has definitely given the impression that if you guys split up, one of you probably will die. And it's like, oh, okay, wonderful. That sucks. So it's kind of like, okay. And I think that was a big tactic used by Pickles back in the day, because we would have troublesome parties. And it would be a lot of, they're not working together, and so they would split, and he'd be like, no, you need to stay together. You guys have to stop arguing and stay together.
Call of Cthulhu games, just to be clear. Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, games where the gods rise.
The ghost wants you to go alone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was another big and there's instances. I mean, the DM knows. So I mean, say, for instance, you guys are going up against an enemy, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna split," and the DM's like, this group's not going to survive if you guys don't have the strength to go against this enemy. Like, oh, we're going to go to this house and confront this enemy, and the party's like, oh, we're going to go get some information over here. These guys are in trouble if you don't have the full strength. I mean, like it can be. So that's where I think it's better, in my opinion, if it's DM planned and it's the right party that is actually working together. Like I said, stars align, it can be great. But if it's not DM planned, if the party doesn't utilize it and make the most of it and actually work together with it, you know, any one of those dominoes could fall out of place and not work.
Mm-hmm.
So, wonderful tactic. Absolutely wonderful, amazing tactic. Used sparingly in the right circumstances. If you're just splitting the party up all the time, it's trash. If you do it, it doesn't work, it's trash. My opinion. Adias, do you have any ideas, comments, concerns, questions?
Well, I guess I'm a little bit new to, very relatively on this panel. I am very new at TTRPGs, to the point at which I really haven't had much experience personally with seeing a party split. We've had some of that with the King's Crossing, but it was kind of pre-designed like that.
I was going to ask what your thoughts are with this is something you can speak to with the King's Crossing design. I got like a fuzzy in my eyelash. With the King's Crossing design, you've got two parties who are split, but eventually you guys kind of cross paths every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that has worked? How do you think it could work better? How do you think it doesn't work?
Yeah, so I think the bottom line of it would be that it has worked very well for certain circumstances. There's a couple of things that have popped up along the way that we're like, oh, maybe that's a little wonky with, namely with like the addition of side characters and that you could recruit like recruitable characters.
You're talking about finding a friend, befriending them, and then losing them?
Yes. Twice.
Better not be calling out me there. I didn't want to get killed.
I am calling out the...
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I saved him, and I didn't get killed.
We could have this talk. I think this is one of the most hot topics of King's Crossing, is the Grunkle Dibs moment. I think out of everything in King's Crossing, I think that was one of the most hot topics, because Grunkle Pickles will stand by his character, which I think he should. Stand by his character 100% of what he did and why. But I come back as devil's advocate, and I'm just like, none of that happened. He's like, so basically, for anyone just joining, this character Dibs was brought into the game. He's a side character. He was brought in, and he was seen sneaking into the tent of the commander of this mercenary group. So Grunkle went over, ratted him out, snitched him out, and was like, we should punish him, but let's not kill him, let's save him. And he saved his life. That was her
words. She was the one who wanted to punish. I was going to deal with it in the house. She brought it up.
That's because you walked over there and goes, that guy's being bad. And he's like, what the fuck,
that's
Grunkle?
the thing. This is a little roguish, like,
he didn't do anything.
Creature.
He was just
stole from people regularly and lied and made stuff up. And then he tells us one truth at one point. And it's like, okay, well, I wasn't documenting all of his lies to like go through them.
So basically,
God,
long story short, what happened is
a fun character.
Dibs walked into a tent,
little garbage monster,
and got called a thief and punished. And
he's not supposed to go into her tent. Why was he ever going into her tent?
The
like
whole
sneaking,
thing
unless
Grunkle's like, I saved all of us from this one scenario that might have happened, maybe. I was like, but it didn't actually happen.
And they can thank me later.
So, Dibs is gone.
Dibs is gone.
Yep.
But not forgotten. He's going to get his revenge on me. I know it. Dude was weird that like the night after. Like he was. It's like when you meet a psychopath, like, and they're initially charming and everything, and they do this little facade of maybe they're a little clownish too. They're kind of like charming and fun, and you're like, aha, you're stealing things. But then when you break through that barrier, it's just, I'll have to think about what to do about you.
So you think Dibs is a psychopath?
And it's like, what the hell? Oh, so he's not just a little goof. That's an act. I was like,
Mm.
uh-oh, he's gonna kill us in our sleep. I was very paranoid. This isn't
Correction, he'll kill you in his
party.
sleep.
Yeah, he's not mad at Adarag.
Party splitting we're talking about. This is
Yeah,
what happened.
This is gonna split the party.
Yeah.
Well, at least we know Grunkle has lost 2 NPCs.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, so
Don't make me do more.
what do you think, Adis?
That was a bit of a speed bump. But all in all, I think it does lend itself to, especially when you have something like this going on, where we have 2 different like sets of essentially it's a 5-person group that we need to
Turning
split out
into a
into 2
6-person
days.
group.
Turning into a 6-person group.
Yeah.
That we're splitting up into 2 days due to scheduling conflicts, and as most people know, scheduling conflicts are the biggest, baddest evil of all in TTRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's been like one of the boons of it, is that we've been able to kind of incorporate multiple groups into multiple days, and be able to spread out the parties that way. And you also get a lot quicker story introduction when you can communicate clearly between the 2 parties. Like take for example the introduction about Atlas. Most of that information would not have come through. Some more of it could have come through, but but the through line there was that because we had 2 groups, we had one that was able to go and find information about we were able to build the world a little quicker than we would have otherwise if we stayed as one group together.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what I was saying. The benefits of splitting the party is you can get information from 2 places, bring them together, and get like a full picture.
Yeah.
Which I think.
So if your DM's ready for that, that's really good to do, because then it opens up the world for the players as well. Because
so that's something that did work well in King's Crossing.
I think it did, because it kind of opened things up for us. We kind of started to learn about the different factions, the different people, the different ways that you could interact with things a little quicker than we might otherwise would have.
One thing I would add to that is the Rockcar Legion. And as much as it was a joke, it was a really funny moment. You guys had a run-in. Adarag and Nimwart had a run-in with the Rockcar Legion, specifically the Corsair fleet.
Mm-hmm.
Grunkle comes from the Rockcar Legion and has some knowledge. And so
I'm not a Coastie though, so
yeah. I think Adarag developed some maybe PTSD from their run-in with the Corsair fleet, and Grunkle told them, nightmare horror stories about the campfire stories about the Rockcar Legion. And so Adarag went on a panic fright and woke the whole town and sounded all the alarm bells.
Getting invaded.
Yeah, it was a good moment, but it's that you're building more of a picture, getting more information. Both parties are benefiting from having allies doing stuff, and they're just dead. And I think it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see the downsides too. In the splitting the party, it's like, what if this part, say you've got a whole party and you split. This party really needs this one thing, and these guys get it. Like, maybe, it's a puzzle. And it's like, hey, we're getting half the pieces, you're getting half the pieces. Like, maybe you're going through a dungeon, you guys split, so that way maybe they have to step on this lever to open up your door so that you can go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a really cool idea. I should do something like that. Anyways, but so you're moving through. Well, say this party is fucking up or doing something, or they're like, oh, hey, this cogwheel, we don't need that. And then this party's like having a way harder time having to go around shit and find ways through instead of just going through the door because this party didn't do their part. It's like, thanks.
Yeah, it is kind of reliant on the 2 teams' abilities to retain and convey information.
Yeah.
So
this reminds me of the game. Have you guys ever seen? I never played it myself, but there's a game out there where it's like something. It's bomb defusal. and
Oh,
one
yeah.
person has the bomb and they have to like figure out what to do, but they don't have any instructions. The other person has the instructions but can't see the bomb, and so they have to like communicate and talk it out.
I would be the worst.
Dude, Pickles, I would play that game with you in
Pickles,
a
yeah.
heartbeat, and we would be the worst.
We're both dying somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. But it reminds me of that. You guys, like, if you split the party has to be aware that like our entire focus is to help each other.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. And I think and like so there's like the example of like King's Crossing where I've gotten to kind of see firsthand what it looks like, and because the only other point that I could bring in was like a lot of the stuff that I've seen previous to actually playing a TTRPG was all of these more or less scripted encounters and games.
You're talking about like the podcasts and shows that you watch.
Podcasts and shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, so getting to see it firsthand, it's like opened up some of the like, oh, that's how this is actually going to work. It's not like you just split the party and oh, you obviously have something to do over here, and you obviously have something to do over here.
Yeah, everything does
everybody
not
knows what to
always
do.
go according to plan.
No, yeah.
So, Pickles, what are your thoughts? You brought up the topic. You must have some hot thoughts on this.
Yes.
I mean, for me, you guys touched on like it being something that you should plan for to do it properly, and I never plan for it. I write all of my adventures like that you can do encounters as single party and like work with each other to mow through the competition. And I think we saw a little bit more of that last adventure in Strange Town, but because you guys were
3
all
or Adventure 2?
uh, Adventure 3,
Okay.
I guess, since we're moving into the epilogue. We're in 3.5 now.
Yeah.
But like with that last session is more of what I meant. If there weren't more people there, you might have gotten mauled by a bunch of toddlers. They were swarming you.
Go watch the episode.
The toddler alien clay creature homunculus demon.
There are parts in that where I was just like, I need to be careful about what I'm saying because this could get clipped and just taken. I keep my rifle trained on the child. That's not what I mean.
Child monster. Don't listen to the voice in your head.
They're monsters.
So that was the moment where, like, I generally build it so if you guys are working together very well, my encounters might be paper tigers to a certain point.
Real quick, can you explain the reference paper tiger? For anyone listening.
Oh yeah. Paper tiger is any encounter intended to highlight the narrative character that usually the main character, but like any character, you can throw them towards a paper tiger to highlight what they're good at. They like come up against something that looks threatening, like a tiger, but then they just punch through it like paper, or whatever their martial arts style or method is.
For reference, the first fight, I can't remember which one. I can't remember. I think it was the first fight in King's Crossing with the bandits. I think were supposed to be paper tigers, and they fucking didn't.
Those were tigers.
Yeah,
those were real tigers. Where did you get real tigers?
I was learning combat. They were supposed to be paper tigers. It didn't work out well, but I don't think it was the band. I think it was the first fight with the blights where you blew like 3 of them up with your incendiary.
Yeah, my one-time nuke.
Yeah, but then there was like hundreds of them came out of the woods. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
I guess. It does sound like my wife is home. So I'm going to go greet her really quick because that's what good, dutiful husband does. You guys talk a little bit more about this and talk about how much you hate splitting up in Strange Town of Golden Ridge for me.
Well, he's not in Strange Town of Golden Ridge, and I actually in Strange Town of Golden Ridge, I was the one who split up. So, we were in a house, and there was a main threat in the kitchen, which we had subdued, and we were dealing with. There was possible targets downstairs and upstairs. It was like, uh-oh. So one of my party members went and covered the stairs upstairs, and but he was too scared to go up there by himself, and I was like, fuck it. I walked into the downstairs just by myself. Thankfully didn't die, but it very well could have happened. And
I should not have done that.
yeah, like there,
Yeah.
very well could have happened, and maybe Pickles just was lenient with me for doing that. But I also am playing a pretty wild character who just kind of does shit, impulsive. So
Yeah.
there is that part. But yeah, I don't know. Splitting the party is an interesting one. How it would be interesting. I think it has a lot more of an effect when you have like a 2-person party versus 6 people, or in our case we had 5. In King's Crossing, 3 are doing this job, 2 are doing this job. I think you still have some balance, you still have some meat, some power behind you. But if it's a 2-person party and you split up, you're literally on your own.
Yep.
And like, I think there's 2 parts to this. One, there's the survival factor. In King's Crossing, imagine you and Nimwort get split up and you're in the middle of the swamp. You've got the swamp dragon out there, you've got swamp blights out there, plus every other creature that is out there that you guys haven't run across.
Yep. So we die.
Yeah, it's dangerous. And it's same in Strange Town Golden Ridge. It's a paranormal alien monster infested world. Yeah, not great. But when you've got a 3 and a 2, it's like, okay, you and Nimwort, you guys figured out ways to survive. You built, camouflage suits, learned how to mud walk, learned how to hide yourselves, I think you guys stood a lot more of a chance over if just, Nimwort walked out in that swamp by himself. Yeah. But so what I was saying is there's 2 parts. There's the survival factor, but then there's also the information, like you were saying. And when you have one person trying to get all that information, gather all that information with just one character who has, their own specific role, and versus multiple people. So like in Grunkel's group, you've got Grunkel, you've got Torvik, you've got Wilfer. Each of them are different people, different characters. They're going to pick up different information that is given. So that way when you come back, you can be like, oh, we learned this. Well, we also learned this. Oh, and this, rather than only learning this.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I was that was the only other thing that I could think about of like a good reason to maybe split the party was if you had reached a point in the campaign where you needed some personal like character development, and maybe it required like some side story or side mission while you were in town, sort of deal. That sort of that's one thing that I think I've seen done well, and I don't know personally. I haven't seen it in person if it could be worked out for like an actual play system. But that's the only other thing I could think of with like maybe if one character needs to go and meet somebody else individually and split the party that way. That's maybe the only other bit of like character development, I guess.
To that point, you weren't here for this. I think it was at the end of Strange Town Golden Ridge we were talking about, basically doing promo for King's Crossing. And I was talking about how I would be open to the idea of, if people were available over the next 3 months or whatever before King's Crossing comes back, if they wanted to do, the Adarag story of what you were doing before King's Crossing. Be like, hey, I'm free on this day. You want to sit down and play for, an hour a day, 2 hours a day or whatever, once a week. And then we get to see the Adarag story or the Grunkel story, or, maybe the
Grunkel's going to get bullied. That's his background, is that he's been bullied because he's a small ogre.
Or maybe we could learn about that vision you had of the girl you saw.
Or that, yeah. And there'd be a small amount of bullying to get into that, though.
Or, maybe we have the Grunkel Torvek story. Maybe they're both free, and we get to see, the little small adventure between them two.
How they met.
Yeah. Well, we were there.
We met before the bar.
Yeah, we were there when they met. But maybe Adarag and maybe you two were available, and you're like, hey, we sit down and have a game this week, and it'd be the same as what we've been doing kind of with your game, where it's like we play for an hour, whenever we can. It'd be basically the similar concept where, maybe Daisy, Pickles, and Adise are all available this week, and they're like, oh, can we do something? It's like, sure. Figure out something for you guys to do around town, If we want to do that kind of stuff, that would be something I would need to prepare. But more to the point, this is going into what you were talking about. It would give characters a split to invest in their character and learn a little bit more and get some more character development.
Yeah, I guess like a spotlight almost.
Yeah. I think it could be done, and it's something we could have the option to try out. It would just be a case of like, you have to be careful with it, because we have a full, actual story going on. I can't, cut into the middle of that, and just be like, and Adis left for a year on his own adventure, and then we pick up exactly where we left off, and Adis is back, and it's like, well, wait, aren't you gone for a year? So it would have to, be worked around, where it's like, oh, you were gone for a day, and now it's a day later, and this is when the party rested for a day. Whatever the case may be.
I like that idea though of maybe trying to do something more of like behind the character sort of deal, and like before Adareg met Nimwort, like what was he doing, and like a something like that, and maybe like Grunkle, the bullying struggles of Grunkle. Or
I think it would be cool to get us some more character information. It also reminds me of the MCU. I'm a big fan of the MCU, or at least I was until they, until they ruined it. But the MCU, one of the strongest parts of the MCU was the characters were developed. They had specific built them up. I mean, Iron Man had 3 movies, Thor had 3 movies, building him into a character. Granted, I think Iron Man had 2 before he joined the Avengers and was involved. But anyways, that's what I'm talking about. Like the Grunkle movie, get to see, and then he comes into the party and get to learn more about the character and why he does the things he does, where it comes from, Same for, Nimwort, he's got a whole story behind him. It'd be cool to see. And I mean, it's something to where it would be, as people are available, it's not something that anyone would have to commit months to, But it also goes into your splitting the party. But I agree. I think it would be a pro rather than a con if done right.
Yeah, that's just it. It kind of goes back to our original topic of discussion, which way back in the early episodes about what makes a good relationship between a GM and a player, and the communication there. And, go watch it.
Yeah, go watch
This episode.
None of them are named, so you just have to watch all of them until you find it.
Find one. Yeah, it's early on. You'll find it eventually.
Well, that's the thing is, when we first started, I couldn't name them because we just kind of talked about whatever.
Yeah,
we didn't have topics,
stuff around.
Yeah. So, Pickles, you were saying?
Yeah, before we wrap up this episode, I did want to jump in. For me, as I said, I don't really plan for players to split up because I try and balance everything as best as I can, so that if you use tactics and everything, it should be a reasonable encounter. And if you are caught off guard or you don't really consider the situation, it might be a little bit more challenging. But if you split up the group and then don't take charge of the situation or figure out what you're going into, then it becomes very lethal. And that's just the nature of Savage Worlds, and by proxy, I guess, Savage Pickles. Bastard system. Anyways, so with that
Savage
mindset,
Pickles lives on, man.
I'm trying not to split the party myself. So when it happens, it's all improv for me. And I often try to think of, so why are you doing this? And of course there is, as you mentioned earlier, the we're mad at each other, and so you know what, we're not going to deal with each other. And I think there's another subset to that, is sometimes people are like, I'm mad at how you handled that last encounter because I'm the stealth guy and you just ripped a massive fart at the front door while I was trying to stealth around, and then the lights turned on and you ruined my entire situation. I'm going alone because I'm mad at how you handled that last encounter. I feel like that's an aspect of people should split up when it's advantageous. If you only have one stealthy person in a group, the stealthy person should go alone and split the party to get information, to steal things, or do whatever, put poison. I don't know. And so that's one of them. But the other I see, and especially with Strange Town of Golden Ridge, is I think a panic over uncertainty. And I consider uncertainty to be one of the three pillars of what makes a horror like game or movie or show, of not knowing what is fully going on. Because obviously, once you see the monster or understand the monster, it's a vampire, then the horror is gone and it's more of an action at that point. And so I think with uncertainty, it's very easy for the party to be like, we need to split up and go out and find as much as we can. Let's get back here with anything. Like you go there, you go. I'm gonna go to the third place. I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to solve this. I feel like that panic of too much to handle is sometimes one of the causes of the party splitting. The Scooby Doo. We need to go through all the houses rooms at once, and
The Scooby Doo method. That's well said. Yeah,
but none of these are like I don't. As I said, I don't want to split the party. So often I'm trying to think of how to reunite the party. And in the past, it was like, well, this is Call of Cthulhu. The book says kill them. I don't want to kill them, but I can warn them. Okay, they just spit on me. Okay, well, you're going out the window.
So, in conclusion, splitting the party, good or bad? Pickles?
I don't like doing it. Well, okay, and if I can just say one last little bit, I don't like doing it because that means the attention to the group is misplaced. When it's everybody working together as a group, like going through the same situation, they all get to interact with the scene and say what they want to say and interact with each other with how they want to interact. But when it's like one person goes in and sees the Temple of Doom, they're like, whoa, okay, only I get to interact. And it's on me for a while because, I mean, this is the first time the group is, players are seeing this Temple of Doom. The storyteller's got a story tell. So and like it makes it very difficult then to bring other players in, be like, okay, this is what he saw before, but you're seeing it now. And so I'm against it just because it makes it so attention to each player is skewed differently. If it's a 2-to-1 split, the one player gets 50%, the other two get 50%, and so it's not entirely fair all the time. But if you're a good storyteller, that's not a big issue. And then also just that having different players interact with the same scene at different times is not something I'm good at writing. Actually, is what I'm realizing is what I said. But yeah, so I don't like it. Thumbs down.
All right.
All right.
Good or bad? Adis?
I think it can be done well, but easily done bad.
I think I'm about in the same boat. I'd say, I mean, I go back to my original comment. Absolutely wonderful tactic to have in your belt. Use sparingly and only in the right scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Splitting the Party. Thanks so much for watching Drinks and Discussions, the RPG podcast, brought to you by And I Took That Personally. Pickles?
And I took that personally. We have a new episode that's going to be coming out hopefully in the middle of the month, but we're also going to try and get a spooky movie out at the end of the month. Every Sunday at 4:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I release an episode from my old project that's like 15 to 25 minutes per episode. It's really quick. It's really frantic. It's really unhinged. I go through the entire Evil Bong and related Ginger Dead Man series to just explain what the story is about, my wild theories on it, and it's my first podcast attempt. So it's the precursor to And I Took That Personally, but just Mr. Pickles, and it's just a filler content bonus episode situation. New episodes will be coming out on Apple and Spotify podcasts. And I Took That Personally.
There you have it. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Huge shout out to Adis and Mr. Pickles for joining me today. We will see you in the next video. Later.
Cheers.
I love you.